Hi everyone, I'm Nolan Hoffman. Thanks so much for joining us here for East Texas in Focus this evening. Let's get started. Well, it's snake season here in East Texas, which is why we're focusing tonight on protecting ourselves, our pets, our homes as their eggs are hatching for springtime. More of these reptiles are looking for a place to call home, which could include your own backyard. Experts are warning the number of snake encounters are only expected to rise as they search for food and the perfect nesting spots, which is why we're discussing which of these snakes are helpful, which ones could be deadly, and how you can best respond if you or someone you know is bitten. Texas Parks and Wildlife Department wildlife biologist Ruben Gay tells us one of the best ways to stay alive if you're bitten is to educate yourself on which snakes you need to avoid and how to react if you are bitten. So let's get started with some information that can help and some unsettling statistics as well.
If the pattern is red to black, Fran to Jack, red to yellow, kill a fella. And they're always usually going to curl up before they launch out and strike. So roughly 7,000 annually. 1 to 2 people in, and that's for the whole United States. 7,000 annually people get bit. But roughly 1 to 2 people in Texas die, unfortunately, from snake bites. Depending on how long the snake is, whether it's a few inches or a foot, just know it can strike twice that in length.
Ruben also tells us some snakes are actually beneficial, eating bugs, rodents, and even other snakes. Which ones you do need help for and which ones do you actually, of course, need to avoid out there? Here's that answer. So
the most common, in the Piney Woods, and when I say Piney Woods, I'm talking everything east of, the Trinity River on to Louisiana. It's going to be your copperheads, water moccasins, timber rattlesnakes, and pygmy rattlesnakes. The copperhead, it's really nice, like reddish copper color, iron color pattern on its back. But the venomous snakes are most likely going to have, the real pointy triangular shaped head. So the coral snake, you're less likely to get bit by one because they actually chew their prey for venom. Coral snakes, they're mostly going for like invertebrates, insects or whatnot around. They're not really going for like, the big rats or frogs or larger rodents like other snakes would. And they are common like around in landscaping and flowering areas because they're mainly looking for insects. You got the diamondback water snake. They actually get pretty big and they can act similar to venomous snakes. It's just an evolutionary thing they've done to protect themselves from predators. You got the hognose snake. It's non-venomous. They'll sometimes will flatten out and act like a cottonmouth, but it's really not. And then you got southern water snakes, or banded water snakes they're called, and there's other water snakes we have as well that look similar to cottonmouths, but they're not venomous. King snakes, they're constrictors, so I don't know if y'all watch WWE or whatnot, so they know how to fight, right, and lock them up. The venomous snakes, they depend on their venom, so to seduce their prey and destabilize them, but when they get into a tussle with a king snake, it's a wrap because they don't really know how to fight. And so, that's why the king snakes overcome them every time. So that's why I encourage people, if y'all do have king snakes or you're aware of king snakes, it's good to have a few of them, on the property because they can, keep other venomous snakes away. But snakes are good rodent control. I know a lot of citizens spend a ton of money on pesticides or whatnot, and man, if you got you a good friendly snake that y'all are acquainted with and know y'all's boundaries, it's good to keep one around because they can get used to you, especially king snakes. I would just encourage people, look up some of these local venomous snakes in our area, learn the ecology, biology of them, so you can be alert and aware when you're out and about because they're there.
And we're just getting started with springtime, and one Lindale High School student has already been sent to the hospital after she was bitten by a rattlesnake. Rachel Davis has much more on how to stay safe throughout the warmer months.
It's springtime in the Piney Woods, but with warmer weather comes more slithering pests. The snakes are definitely getting ready to start coming back out.
Texas is home to more than 105 different species and subspecies of snakes. Only 15 of them are potentially dangerous to humans.
We do have a few ones to watch out for here in East Texas. A few venomous snakes, copperheads, cottonmouths are probably the most common ones that you're going to see.
One high school student from Lindale has already been bitten by a rattlesnake and taken to Dallas for anti-venom treatment. Goodwin says the biggest key for safety is avoidance. If you see a snake, stay away.
I'm perfectly fine watching these snakes behind the glass wall, but if I run into one without a barrier, now that's a different story.
You're actually way more likely to get bit if you mess with them rather than just leaving them alone.
She says snakes love to stay in dark, damp spaces near a water source, so it's important to keep your property and vegetation cleaned up, taking steps to reduce encounters.
Brush piles or log piles are going to be snake hotspots. They love to hide in there and find all kinds of safe spaces. Or if you have an outbuilding that has a rodent problem or anything like that.
The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department says you might also see them in tall grass. So if you're out mowing or hiking, wear long pants and boots for protection. And if you are bit, stay calm and call 911.
Try to keep you calm and stay alert. Don't move too fast. Don't run back to your truck or your vehicle. You don't want to increase the blood flow in your body to send that venom to your heart to give you issues. And if you can, take a picture. Take a picture of the snake.
On average, 1 to 2 Texans die each year from venomous snake bites.
And whether you do everything right or not, getting bitten by a snake may be unavoidable. The best thing you can do is to know exactly how to respond if you find yourself in this kind of emergency.
Call 911 as soon as possible. If you're with someone, have that person, try to keep you calm and stay alert. Don't move too fast. Don't run. You don't want to increase the blood flow, in your body to send that venom to your heart to give you issues. And if you can, take a picture. Take a picture of the snake, or if you need to kill it, kill it. If you can, so the physicians or the doctors, whoever's treating you, they know what anti-venom to use. If you got a home, you got children, you got elderly loved ones, or just around your house, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, but we try to encourage people not to kill them. Just respect them. And if you can, just keep your property, vegetation around your house cleaned up. Try not to, encourage snakes to shelter or be comfortable in the area. You want them just passing through.
And now that we're in the thick of spring, this is the time of year many people take photos in fields full of blue bonnets, but be careful if you're doing that. Experts say it's a perfect place for rattlesnakes to hide. Copperheads may also be spotted out in these fields. Their bites are painful but rarely deadly. If you do happen to get bit, experts say just go to the emergency room right away.
Sucking the venom out of the wound, we do not want to do that. Please don't do that. It used to be thought that you could put a tourniquet, around the leg or arm, wherever the bite was. There is no evidence that that is effective either.
We watch people for a period of time in the emergency department, run some tests, and see if there's any evidence of what we call systemic problems developing.
And speaking of sucking out the venom and using a tourniquet, there are many myths associated with what you should do if you are bitten, but experts are now debunking those myths, and here's why. First, experts say if you attempt to suck out the venom out of a snake bite, you could damage the tissue around the bite, further spreading the venom. Also, if you have an open wound in your mouth and you successfully suck up venom, it could either enter into the sore. And for those of you who have snake kits, you might find a extractor pump inside, which is also supposed to suck out the venom. But a study found one of the most common pumps extracted fluid from the body, but virtually no venom. Second, they add the myth encouraging victims to use a tourniquet to keep the venom in a localized area can also be dangerous. This method could cause the venom to pool in the body, which experts say is actually more dangerous than allowing it to flow more freely. Studies have also shown confining venom to where the bite is can cause more damage to that specific area without providing any benefit to the victim overall. Instead, they say to keep the wound at heart level, remove constrictions, and stay as still as possible, while of course still finding your way to a hospital. And it's not just East Texans seeing more snakes coming out right now. In North Texas, a snake removal company is now saying they have had a major increase in calls over the past month. Professionals with North Texas rattlesnake removal say it's normal for this time of the year, but it doesn't make Texans feel any less uneasy. They say these snakes are just looking for shelter to make themselves feel safe, and they don't know they are not welcome. For those trying to keep the snakes away, the experts say snake away repellent is not always the best option.
Some pelleted sulfur. Some of our farm supplies carry it. It's a 20-pound bag. There is nothing legal on the market that you can buy to keep snakes away.
Luna also says you should not leave your garage door open during this time of the year because they could easily slither inside without you knowing it. On that note, make sure you don't have any openings around your home in general to prevent them from getting indoors. In Northeast Texas, one man has been wrangling rattlesnakes his whole life, and he shares what you should know to protect your property from these deadly reptiles.
For outside snakes, it starts about the 1st of March.
As the temps start to heat up, we're not the only ones getting out to enjoy the sun.
Right now, they're at the dam, they're not moving away from it. But if you walk your property often, it's possible you can step on one or many that's soaking up sun around that den site.
Luna started up Rattlesnake Hunters of Texoma about 10 years ago, but says he's been wrangling snakes pretty much his whole life. So when it comes down to what you should look for on your property, Luna knows all the hot spots.
This time of year, everybody's doing their first mowing for the season. Normally, they don't weed eat first, or sometimes they like to. I suggest mowing first as close to a building as you can get. As you can see on the tan building, the grass is 6 to 8 inches high. That will hide a 4-foot snake.
He also says if you live out in a rural area and have kids, be cautious of large toys in the yard that could potentially house rattlers, especially if they've been sitting out for a while. Another common potential den seen all over Texas properties are shipping containers.
Sea containers have a void underneath. Rats, skunks will build a nest. Those snakes will gravitate to that for a den and use that grass as an insulator.
Now, Luna says if you come across a rattlesnake and aren't able to get to your phone, be prepared.
If you live in the country, I suggest getting used to carrying a sidearm with rat shot. It's just a mini shotgun that's always on your side and your hands are free.
Great tips to keep in mind to ensure you and your family are as safe as possible.
And it's certainly a good start this evening. When we come back here in East Texas in Focus, more with Ruben Gay and more in depth with our topic this evening. We'll be right back. Welcome back this evening to East Texas in Focus. It's, of course, snake season here in East Texas, which is why we're focusing on how to stay safe and what you should do if you find yourself in an emergency. We've already identified several venomous and non-venomous snakes most commonly found to our area, as well as how to respond if someone is bitten, and we've even discussed a few common myths out there. Now we're covering how to protect your homes, as snakes like to find dark areas to hide, and they're waiting for their prey or just resting as well. Texas Parks and Wildlife Department wildlife biologist Ruben Gay gives us a few tips on how to make our homes less appealing to snakes.
If you got crickets, grasshoppers, frogs, I know some of us have those Mediterranean house geckos that show up from time to time in the, along the wooden sills, cracks. Any prey that a snake will eat, if it's there, it automatically in your mind, just assume a snake is there, because eventually they're going to come looking to eat. So the big thing we see a lot, especially here in East Texas, is during the summer, right? Folks love to crack their garage door, to cool off their vehicle. The garage can get hot or whatnot. I try to encourage people, especially at night, close the garage door, because you leaving those doors cracked open like that, that's just an entryway saying, welcome to a snake. And I'm sure whatever's in your garage, there's plenty of neat little holes, areas, material, equipment they can get in and hang out would be a home. And they're also looking for, the prey source. Long jeans, they come down to your ankle if necessary, but I know it gets hot. But try to at least wear a boot or some type of shoe that at least goes up 6 or more inches, or at least keep, covered toes, covered shoes. Don't go out there in sandals or whatnot, open toe shoes, because you're just asking, yourself for danger. Just be smart about it, right?
As East Texans try to prevent those unwanted scaly visitors from showing up on their doorsteps, Texas A&M experts and local wildlife removal professionals also share some tips this evening of their own to make your yard less inviting.
It's that time of year when Texans are meeting unwanted visitors on their doorstep.
Right now, we're in the heat of the breeding season for a lot of snakes here in East Texas.
Experts say East Texas has about 45 snake species. Only a few cause harm.
The coral snake, the rattlesnake, the cottonmouth, and the copperhead.
Dr. Toby Hibbets, a researcher at Texas A&M University, says while many home remedies shared on social media are not backed by studies, there are steps you can take right now.
Just kind of make it as less inviting for snakes as possible. So, keep it really clean, keep it really, manicured.
It can be as simple as keeping your grass cut at a short enough length.
Prevent them on your property. You want to really keep debris, piles of logs, sticks, brush. You want to keep that really cleaned up.
Recommending to avoid places that rodents would be drawn to, which in turn attracts predators.
Feel more secure, so if there's places with low hanging vegetation or ground cover or that sort of thing that snakes can either get under.
If you do run into a snake, don't bother it and do not try to catch it.
The best thing to do is to just leave it alone, observe it till it leaves.
It's all about being aware as these reptiles are out and about.
All right, when we come back here with East Texas in Focus this evening, more with experts and more in depth with our topic. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's snake season here in East Texas, and we've been discussing how to stay safe and what you should do if you find yourself in an emergency. We've also identified several venomous known to be in our area and several non-venomous snakes in our area, which are actually known to help with pests such as venomous snakes. We've also discussed how to respond if someone is bitten, myths associated with treating bites, and we've also just wrapped up our segment on snake-proofing your home. So now let's focus on protecting our pets. Texas Parks and Wildlife Department wildlife biologist Ruben Gay has some helpful advice this evening on how to keep our furry friends' curiosity from getting them into a dangerous situation.
The best thing to prevent your dog from getting bitten, especially if you're at Tyler State Park or Faulkner Park on the south side of town, or just anywhere outdoors, keep them on a leash, right? Because you don't want them venturing off. Respect other people's space as well, but if you keep them on a leash, you have full control. If you do come across a snake, you can pull it back, right? Just be mindful, if your dogs are outside, be mindful of, leaving food out. I wouldn't fill up too much food in the dog bowl. Unless that dog or that cat or whatever, is going to eat everything and not just come back at a time. Because if you leave that food in the dog bowl or the cat bowl and that animal isn't eating it right when it's there, that's going to attract insects, and then those insects that are starting to eat some of that food are going to attract snakes as well.
Now, what should you do if your dog is bitten? Well, experts say the first thing you should do is call your veterinarian or your local emergency veterinarian clinic immediately and ask if they carry anti-venom. You may have to drive to a clinic that's further away in order to get your pets access to the anti-venom. And carry your dog to your car if you are able to. Keep the wound below your furry friend's heart in order to discourage venom from spreading to other parts of the body. Some also say you can turn up the air conditioning in your car to help slow down circulation. In the worst case scenario, if your dog has stopped breathing, apply CPR if you know how. If not, you can call the veterinarian and ask for guidance. Experts also say few snake bites on dogs turn fatal before you get to the emergency vet, but it depends on the size of the dog, the type and size of the snake, and how much venom was delivered during the bite and where the bite is located on the dog. If you are able to identify the snake that bit your dog, it could be helpful for treatment. But the most important thing is getting your pet access to anti-venom as quickly as possible. And there are also programs all across East Texas helping us make sure we keep our furry friends safe from these threats. One in Frankston teaching dogs to keep an eye out for snakes themselves while also helping to protect humans in the process as well. Here's how.
Snakes are out and about this summer, and pet trainer Wayne Lane is putting man's best friend to the test.
What we're trying to do is make these dogs avoid these venomous snakes.
Some of the most dangerous yet common snakes in Texas are rattlesnakes. But here in East Texas, copperheads and water moccasins are the primary ones to look out for. All three species are a part of the training in hopes it will avoid a tragic accident.
People bring their animals to me to try to keep them from getting hurt in the field, bit. Mostly they get bit because they investigate a snake.
Here's how the program works. Lane lets the dogs go investigate the snakes on their own, some in cages, some just lying on the grass. As soon as they get close enough, an e-collar is used to apply pressure to the animal's neck, mimicking a snake bite.
They associate that correction or the stimulus as the snake doing that to them. They can't help but think that they're one-dimensional.
Lane says the dogs catch on quickly, already being more cautious the second time around. With 18 years of experience in training pets and hunting dogs, people like Larry Waterman seek Lane's expertise, coming back for a refresher course every year.
We've been there now 2 years in a row, and we find it invaluable. We have copperheads out on our property where we live, and our dogs avoid them and actually alert us when the snakes are around.
Waterman says it's an effective program other dog owners should also consider taking part in.
We've had friends who've had dogs be bitten by poisonous snakes and almost die, and so we want to teach our dogs to avoid them.
This is Lane's final piece of advice.
Get them trained to try and avoid a bite, get them vaccinated in case of a bite.
So your furriest member of the pack can live as long as possible and protect you in the process.
All right, coming up after the break, we'll recap everything we've learned this evening from experts around East Texas on how to protect ourselves from venomous snakes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been focusing on snakes tonight as East Texans are already seeing more and more of these animals near homes and even biting a student in March. We've discussed all the snakes you want to avoid, such as the copperhead, the water moccasin, the pygmy rattlesnake, and the timber rattlesnake here in East Texas. And we've also discussed which ones you can trust, such as the diamondback water snake, the hognose water snake, the bandit water snake, and the king snake, which actually kill and eat venomous snakes. We've also learned that educating ourselves on these snakes and how to spot them can protect us. But if we do get bitten, we know how to call 911 and why to call 911 immediately. Don't try to suck out the venom out of the wound, and make sure to keep your circulation down to avoid spreading the venom. And next week, we'll zero in on more issues here in East Texas. That's all coming up this coming Saturday on East Texas in Focus after Fox 51 News at 9. Have a great night, everyone.